Hi, it's Declan here. I'm just shooting this quick video today to give you an overview of the stage 3 of the playing by ear process. So just to recap, the stage 1 was the knowledge of how simple patterns make up the Western music. So you can break down what appears to be very complicated music into incredibly simple patterns. Two main sides to that. One is the melody, made out of 7 notes, and the second part is the chords, made out of generally 6 chords. The stage 2 was the piano skills, so then you play those chords and you play the melody, you know how to move your fingers. The stage 3 then is how you identify what those are without having the sheet music in front of you. So there's 2 main approaches to this. There is the approach that many other courses out there give, which works. It's just not my preferred approach. And that approach is just fiddle on the keyboard until you find it, which is, it can work, but to me, just saying, here's a keyboard, just fiddle around until you find the tune is perhaps not the most efficient way to play by ear. And you're not really acquiring any build-up of skill level. Every new song then is fiddle around again and until you find it. So it's a bit of a random approach. So the way I prefer is a more of a systematic approach. So it's breaking down the patterns then of how you can hear what the melody is and how you hear what the chords are. So I'll be talking about this a lot more in depth in the later videos, but just to give you a sort of overview of this, we'll take a couple of examples that are quite diverse. So one is Amazing Grace, and another one is Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. So on the surface of it, they might appear to have not much in common, but as we'll see, the vast majority of songs in Western music have lots and lots in common. They generally only use from a selection of 6 chords, and most songs would only use 4 of those 6. So, okay, we're playing in the key of C, which again, if you watch my earlier videos, that's what I would recommend. So if you are doing it totally by ear, as in not playing along with any original recording, this is the process that I would use. You first of all would find the root. So in the key of C, we've got chord 1 and note 1. So you generally, in the tune, you can get to hear where the root note is, and it's a bit like gravity. Everything brings it back to that note. So if that is the root chord and that's the root note, every other note sort of brings you back to that point. So you can hear in the melody where it's moving away from the home and where it comes back to home, which is the root note. So we have, in each song actually, it starts not on the root note. So we'll do Amazing Grace first. So that's not the root note. And the second note is that is the root note. So generally, again, you can hear the chord. So you can choose which you do first, either the melody or the chord. A really brilliant shortcut way to save you tons and tons of time is to just go and get the chords online. There's lots and lots of free resources there. You type in the name of the tune, chords, and it will give you the chords. You put that, there's a conversion chart that can convert it from the chords into numbers. So you've got chord 1 there. So this song, in fact, both songs start on chord 1, which is fairly common. Again, most songs would start and or end on chord 1. And most melodies would end on note 1 as well. Not always, but quite often. So here, We can hear it starts on chord 1, or if you look at the chord sheets, you know it does. So then the first note, which is a low 5, and it goes up to a 1. And then you can hear the notes in the melody. Generally, most of the melody notes will stick to the notes that are in the chord. So there's 3 notes in the chord, which is a C, E, G, or notes 1, 3, 5. And this tune does what most tunes do, which is stick to the notes in the chord. So it's a low 5, a 1, 3, 1, 3, which is exactly the 3 notes in the chord. And then there's a passing note, a note 2. Then it changes to chord 4. So I'll just talk about the chords first of all. So you've got chord 1. You can either stay on that twice, or if you're being fancy, you can move up to chord 3. And chord 4 back to 1. So if I'm playing by ear, I can tell if it's the root chord or not. If it's not the root chord, there are some rule systems that I'll share with you later to cut down the options really, really quickly. And then after a while, you can actually get to hear exactly it's going up by 2, up by another 1. So that must be 1, up to 3, up to 4, back to 1. One of these types of rules is that if it's a major chord, if it sounds happy, as opposed to sad, if it's happy, in the standard 6 chords, which cover most songs, there are only 3 happy chords, and they are chord 1, chord 4, and chord 5. That is the foundation of all popular music and a lot of classical music. So if it's a happy chord, it's going to be probably 1, 4, or 5, which in the key of C would be C, F, or G. And you can tell then which it is. You've got a good chance by if it's moving. So if you listen to one happy chord and then a second happy chord, if it's jumping, then it has to be either jumping from 1 to either 4 or 5, or jumping back to 1. So if it's side by side, if it's not jumping, if it's only moving up or down 1, then you know it's 4 or 5. And if it's moving up to a happy one, you know it's going from 4 to 5. And if it's going down 1 from a happy chord to another happy chord, you know it's 5 to 4. So very quickly, these types of rule systems, you could have a guess. So if it's a happy chord and it's not chord 1, even if you guessed, you've got a 50% chance of being right, because it's probably going to be just a 4 or a 5. So that way, you just work out the chords. If you don't want to do the really easy thing, just go online and just get the chords. That's dead easy. And then you work out the melody, and the melody is likely to be one of the notes in that chord. And the melodies often repeat the same phrases as this song does. So low 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, and then it changes a bit. And the chord changes up to a 5. And the tune does a 2 and a 5, which both are notes in the chord 5. And then it goes back to chord 1, and again the melody does a 3, 5, 3, 1, 3, which is exactly a chord 1. So all those 3 notes is a chord 1. Back to the chord 4, back to chord 1. Ah, that's a minor chord. Ah, so that's not major anymore. So it's not 1, 4, or 5. So by far the most used minor chord is 6. So, oh, it is 6. But 9 times out of 10, if you hear a minor chord, it's going to be chord 6. So the 4 main chords used in all Western music and tons of popular music is 1, 4, 5, and 6. And with those 4 chords, you can play most songs. So, and again, the notes in the right hand are 2 of the notes out of that chord. And it goes 4. And then if you're being fancy, you just run down the chords from 4, 3, 2, 1. So you've got chord 4, and it's going down. Or it's a minor chord, and it's only gone down 1. Must be chord 3. Oh, it's going down 1 again, and it's a minor chord, must be chord 2, back to chord 1. So this is a combination of understanding the major and minor, the happy, the sad, understanding the 1, 4, 5, and 6 will cover most things. So those are your go-to chords. Try those first, and they generally work. If not, then there are other rules which you will learn as to how to look for things then that are non-standard. And after a while of using those rule systems, then you get really good by training your ear just to hear straight away. I can hear that's going from a 3 to a 6 to a 4 to a 1. And then the same with the melody line. You'll get to hear what the root is. You'll be able to identify that quickly. And then you'll hear jumps. Oh, that's 1 to a 5. That's 1 to a 3. 1 to a 3 to a 5. And a 1 to a 4 to a 6. So you'll have to get to hear those, and then you can work out from that what the note is. So just to go back to that example of how similar songs are. So on the Ed Sheeran example, you'll see that's chord 1 to 3, 4, 5, which is exactly the example of Amazing Grace. 1 to 3, 4, back to 1. So it skips out the 5. So it starts exactly the same 1, 3, 4. So the Ed Sheeran one, the melody goes low 5, 1, 2, 3. So the Amazing Grace is low 5, 1, 3, 1, 3. So it's virtually identical. Yeah, so the second part, as I was playing it then, I just realized that it is the same chord sequence. That second bit is the same as Amazing Grace. 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 3, 4, 5. So there you have it, a quick overview of the approach that I use. And if you are playing along with the original song recording, it might be in C, in the key of C, but it might not. If it's not, then you can use your transpose key to change it so that you play in the key of C and it will match what the original recording is. And if you're playing on an acoustic piano that doesn't have a transpose button, then you'll have to watch my other video on how to transpose. So I hope that's been useful, and I will see you soon.